Live in a second. There we go. And we are live. Hey, everybody. This is Milana Lishinsky, your host for today. And you're watching this inside the Simplicity Circle Facebook group, which is even more exciting because I love featuring guests who inspire simplicity in me. And today my guest is one of my best friends that I met online. Eventually we took our relationship offline, even have a picture to prove it. David DeGiorgio, welcome.
Oh, thank you, Milana. It's so great to be here with your audience and just with you.
Yeah. So if you guys are watching, say hello. So I know you're watching. And what I'm actually going to do, so we have some people watching already. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pin this post so that it's very easy to find us. David, did you see my most recent post this morning on Facebook?
Oh, I don't know. You've been on fire.
You missed it. I tagged you twice.
Oh. I was actually doing another interview this morning, and my life has been on fire too lately with like interviews and appearances and stuff. So I missed it. Tell me. So
I don't know if it's even necessary or not, but look what I've got. Can you read this?
Oh my goodness. Come on now.
So this is a proof that I am the author of A New Day.
Yeah, you sure are.
Yeah, I actually own a certificate of copyright registration.
I love it.
I don't know if it's necessary or not, but it makes me feel like I own it.
Exactly. Exactly. Copyright is such a funny thing, but I know whenever you get that certificate, you're like, oh my goodness, like there's an actual certificate with a signature and everything.
Do you own any? Yeah, I bet you do, right?
I have a couple of published musicals and stuff like that. And yeah, back in Canada.
That's really cool.
I know, right?
Well, I am excited because our relationship has so many different levels.
It sure does.
Right? First of all, you live in San Diego, and San Diego is the city that I've been to more times than any other city when I travel, and I don't travel a lot, so to me that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? Also, we found this musical connection, not only in like, hey, yeah, I write music, and yeah, I write music too. We actually collaborated, and somehow you took what I came up with and somehow you got it and you took it to a whole other level. I don't know how that happened. You were in my head writing it.
I love that we like initially connected like just as a business, because you were running something else but then it ended up turning into a deeper relationship, and now, we've co-created a piece of music together and there's more to come. It's so surreal.
Yes. I'm going to tell you my public thank you, because it would have never happened at that level. I've always created music, but it would be kind of like I would play it and I would forget. I would play it, like improvisation, or I would jot down a little bit with pencil and it would be gone the next week. This is the first time I actually stuck with it and continue to develop it, which shows that what can happen when somebody believes in you, because that's what I felt from you is like, that was the first time. Hi, Abby.
Hey, Abby.
You and I are chatting. I forgot people are watching. That is the best piece, right? Yeah. So like having somebody that you believe, somebody that believes in you, for me, it was a very special experience because I've never shared my music with another composer. Mm-hmm. So as I sent it to you, hi, Mary. Mary, I love your name. It felt very, I was holding my breath. What will he think? Is this even music? I truly didn't know what your reaction would be. So I'm grateful for your extremely positive encouragement and the fact that we collaborated. And it's sitting on my website. If you go to milana.com/blog, you can actually see my music. or hear my music. You can see it too, but you can hear it too.
I still listen to it once in a while, right? Like every couple of weeks, I'm like, oh, I need a little. To me, it's beautiful. It's magic, and even the fact that I worked on the arrangement. Every time I listen to it, I hear something new and something beautiful, and I have a moment. I don't know if you have the same moment as a creator too, Milana, where you listen to something or you look at work that you've done and you step back and you're like, wow, I did that. That's pretty good. It's like,
Yeah, and the more time passes by, the less I believe that I wrote it.
Right?
Really? I did that?
Hey, Mark Mawini. Great to see you.
Oh, it's so great. So Mark, I have to do a shout out for Mark because
Amazing.
Mark is the person responsible for me even doing this right here. To start a Facebook group. I was being interviewed by someone today on a podcast, and she said, what was your best business decision? And I said, you know what? Other than inventing a telesummit,
Yeah.
this right there is starting a community on Facebook, because when you have a mailing list, and I have a pretty significant size list, I have 42,000 people on my mailing list that took me years to build and to nurture, right? But that doesn't matter because it's a one-way conversation.
Yeah.
With the Facebook group, now suddenly we can talk and I can get feedback and I feel supported and I feel like my ideas matter and I can test my ideas and things like that. So Mark, a special kiss and a special shout out of love for you.
And look at this. You have all sorts of great, you have me as a Canadian in your life. Mark is a great Canadian in your life. Look at that. See, I think we know the answer here.
Canadian.
Yeah, he's Canadian. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So let's start with that real quick. First of all, congratulations. Are you still a Canadian or are you only a U.S. citizen?
Canadian. I will not give that up.
So you have dual citizenship?
Not yet. So that's a process. So I just got my residency. And so I am green card worthy. I am official in the country. And that happened in December of this past year.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I've been in America for 25 years and I've been a citizen for, I would say 15 or so, maybe a little more. My husband just got his citizenship 2 years ago because he didn't feel the hassle was worth it.
Right. And it's a bit of a hassle to get through.
It is a huge hassle and also got 3 times as expensive since I got my citizenship. Yeah. So he dragged it on and then finally said, you know what? Are you really going to retire as a non-citizen? Because he doesn't have any other citizenship. So it's like Neverland. Mary says, I'm a great Canadian too. Yay.
All right, Mary. We love great Canadians.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question. So you and I connected when I was still with the other company. And then I left. And I had this very painful transition. Most people don't know that, including the people who have known me from before, is I spent 3 months crying. I couldn't even tell you why I was crying because I didn't want to be in that business, but I was sad to leave. I didn't want to give up the baby that I created or co-created, and yet I couldn't continue at that pace, in that structure. And then you and I connected around that. And I'm curious, what was your reaction? What were you thinking when I said to you, I left that company. I'm done with it. I'm no longer with them.
Interesting. My initial gut reaction, believe it or not, was like, oh, it's about time.
Okay.
There was something incongruent for me. And when you left, I knew that you were doing what Wayne Dyer calls the shift. That's what my experience was. And you were shifting from ambition to meaning. And it was me seeing you as Milana stood in her power and said, I don't care anymore about the dollars. I don't care anymore about what it looks like on the outside. The fact of the matter is on the inside, this isn't what I want. And I need to follow my meaning and the bigger purpose for what I want to create for me in my life. And that's what it looked like to me. And there was relief and joy. I felt very happy for you in a way because I was like, I think this is good. I think this is going to be really good. And look at you now. I mean, it's been pretty good.
Well, I'm certainly more connected to how I feel inside about this. So I wrote down a couple of things you said. You said from ambition to meaning.
Yeah.
Right? That's a big one.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people in our industry are overachievers, and status and image does matter to a lot of people. It certainly did to me. So, I won't lie. I wanted to be seen as successful. And so for the same reason as we put out messages and images on Facebook of success, of course we want to be seen as successful, because who will hire a person who is a mess, who is a crying mess, right? So people are very scared to be vulnerable. And the people that I spoke to in privacy, in confidence, shared with me that they are on the brink of burnout and they don't know how to walk away from the monster they created. So I was fortunate enough that I was given this opportunity to walk away from the monster I created. Right? So
and ownership and responsibility is such a big part, because if you were still in victim mentality at any level, you wouldn't have this level of clarity and freedom right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what I love what you said is, I don't care what it looks like on the outside, I care how it feels inside. I think that I can really resonate with that. I totally get that. And I'll tell you, when I walked away from that business, I didn't have a mission. I didn't have a vision. I had nothing. So it's not like I went to pursue a bigger purpose. I just didn't have anything that I wanted. I had no passion. I just knew that the previous way didn't work for me. That's
exactly. Yeah. And that's the beauty of it, is that you realize, though, that what was your vision at that point no longer served you. And to be able to step away from something that, was very successful for you and was a way of life. And you not only just stepped away from a business, it was an entire
life.
Yeah. Entire era of your life, right?
For
because
sure.
You're doing business a very, very, very different way now. And
this is why we connect, because you're in my head. This is exactly what I totally get that. That's exactly how I feel. It's the end of an era.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. And I guess, I don't know if it's because I'm intuitive or empathic, or we have some sort of special connection, whatever it is, I could always feel it. I've shared it with you. Is I instantly connected on your pre-launch videos when I joined your community back then. There was something about you that I'm like, there is something that this woman is up to and creating. I was moved by your way of being. And so I don't even think you realized at that point, because I know that we had a conversation after about, you're like, I don't know, the video guy just came in and videoed it, and I don't know if it's good or not. I just and that's the best, because you were just present. And who Milana is when she's present, to me, is the epitome of simplicity. And I think that's what really attracted me to you in the first place.
Well, thank you. And speaking of simplicity, so we're going to talk about the number one mistake people make that keeps them from being booked more often on stages. Not just people, but entrepreneurs specifically. And I'm curious, for those of you who are watching us right now, if you are interested in this topic, if you want to know how to get invited more to be speaking on stages, please let us know. Say, yes, it's me. I'm curious to see how many people actually love the idea of being booked on stages. And if that's something that you want to pursue and you are curious about it, maybe haven't explored it, or maybe you haven't struggled with that. So just tell us, yes, I'm interested, because we want to know that you are in the right place here. But before we get there, what does simplicity mean to you, David, specifically in business? Because I always ask people, everybody gives different answers, because simplicity is so personal, so subjective. What does that mean to you?
Simplicity for me, specifically in business, is having the permission, the space, the self-permission to show up as yourself. And if you're tired, to be tired. And if you're energized, to be energized. And just to be able to be you in your business, and not to feel like the business has turned into a monster that's taken over your life. Nobody wants that, right? I want it to be simple. I remember at one point in my life, I was a yoga studio owner. And oh my goodness, it was the worst experience of my life, because it turned into a monster. It was just this, and for every night for 6 months, I prayed, I literally said it, maybe this is why we connect. I just want things to be simple again. I just want things to be simple again. Every night for 6 months, I would pray about it. And I mean, I got simplicity. My house was hit by lightning and burnt to the ground. So that like erased everything. You know, I got to start over in a very extreme way. But it's interesting. Simplicity is just being able to be who you are, who you want to be on purpose, and to be able to, and I hate to say it, but it's business, right? So to be able to monetize your mission, to be able to monetize your purpose in integrity, with that integrity, to do it that you're not just like trying to funnel people down a path. I think that to me is simplicity, you know?
Yeah. Thank you. So I wrote down simplicity is having the space and permission to show up as yourself.
Yeah.
I think that is the great way to say it. So I put it on the screen. Let's reveal the number one mistake that keeps people from getting booked to speak. You have a very unique background. One of the reasons I wanted you to speak about this is because you don't come from a typical speak to sell or traditional National Speaker Association background. So you have a very different perspective. You have a performing background, you have a producing background, but you also work with coaches, authors, speakers, you educate people. And I must say that your energy is contagious when I watch your posts, when you write, when you speak. And it's interesting, it's contagious, but it's quiet. There's it's like you're tuning in, you're listening, and yet you're very passionate about this. So let's reveal the number one mistake that entrepreneurs make.
Quite simply, you're asking for the speaking engagements. And the issue with that is your vision isn't big enough. You see, I realized I was at a mastermind, a very high level mastermind that a mutual friend of ours put on. And I was speaking to people there. And this one person said, David, I think it's great what you're doing, but you've got it all wrong in your business. You've got it all wrong. You need to make a business where you just help people like me. You see, because I know what I offer as a speaker. I just need more speaking engagements. And it was interesting. It took me some time to process this. I realized I was instantly turned off. So I'm someone in the world of performance, production, and speaking, and I have connections that I could connect people to opportunities. And yet this person felt it important to share with me that he knows what he offers as a speaker, doesn't need anyone to help him as a speaker. He just wants speaking engagements. And I was instantly turned off. And I thought to myself, well, I'm never going to connect him with a speaking engagement now, because instead of him sharing with me his vision and telling me, oh, wow, you're a speaker. I love to speak about this and building community and building this and whatever it is, your vision, instead of delivering, he thought he was delivering value to me and giving me advice. But instead, he shut the conversation down immediately. And I thought to myself, because I come from the music world and the theater world, what would it look like if the conversation between Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones was, you know, Michael Jackson said to Quincy, Quincy, I know what I offer as a singer. I just want you to get me more records. Can you imagine how history of music would have been different? See, Michael Jackson knew what he offered as a performer. But he also knew that if he surrounded himself with geniuses and amazing people who could see his blind spots, that they could elevate him. So Michael wasn't asking, Quincy, I want you to write me a gold record. I want you to write me a triple platinum, a quadruple, a 10-time platinum record. He said, I have a vision to change the world with my music. I want to do something big. When Michael spoke, it was always from vision. It's funny because I always speak about Michael Jackson like he was my friend. I never met him. I wish I did. You know what I mean? But it's because when you see him speak in any of the interviews, it's all vision. It's all passion. He is the music, right? And so what would it look like instead if speakers spoke only from vision instead of asking for speaking engagements? Because the thing is this, when you're talking to me or anyone like me, you're always auditioning. I have never asked for a speaking engagement, not once. And yet I get asked to speak. And here's the crazy part. I did a speaking engagement last night and I opened with, unfortunately, you've been told a lie. You see, I'm not a speaker. I don't advertise myself as a speaker at all. And yet I keep getting speaking engagements. Isn't that interesting? Now, This is separate from the model where, of course, if you want to speak, one of the first rules that I teach people is you have to tell everybody that you're a speaker. Unfortunately, most people, on their LinkedIn or their Facebook, they say, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an author, I'm a transformational blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, I can't hire an entrepreneur. I don't even really know what the word means, and most people can't pronounce it. Right? I can't hire an author unless I'm looking, that's strange. So why are you telling me that you're not? Lead with I am a speaker, because what that does is it tells people, oh, you're a speaker. What do you speak about? They ask a question. And then what are you supposed to do? You insert vision there. Don't think that you need to deliver value, because the minute you start delivering value, people turn off. You see, because when I want to get my value, I go to Google and it's all free and I can have my lemon cake while I'm sitting and going through my Google, right? I don't have to be your victim. But that's the problem, is that speakers, we do it all the time. We victimize people with our, with our content. But content is free online. So yeah, so the biggest mistake is your vision is too small. You're like, oh, I want to get a speaking engagement. I'm not going to connect you with my amazing on purpose people who have opportunities if all your vision is just to get a speaking engagement. But if you tell me, hey, I want to change the world and I have this message and my message is about whatever it is, then I'm interested. I'm like, oh, you know what? Actually, I know Milana and she has a simplicity circle and your message fits with that.
Yeah.
But you didn't ask me, just like actually I didn't ask to be interviewed here. This is a speaking engagement right now, right? I didn't ask you for it. It just kind of organically came because you said, hey, I think that there's something there for you, that I think there's a fit here. I'd love to feature you to my audience, And
what happened was I understood what you stood for.
Yes.
So I understood your vision, your stance. That clarity gave me clarity with how I can work with you, position you, feature you, play with you. And I love what you said. You're always auditioning. Have you ever seen that episode of Friends where Joey is given a toast?
Yeah.
Monica's wedding. I think it was Monica's wedding. And he knows that there is a major producer in the audience.
Yeah.
One of the friends of the bride's family. And so he starts, we've had some good times and bad times, some sad times and happy times. And he essentially starts auditioning in front of that producer. I thought that was really funny. So,
the reality is we never know who is in the audience.
Yes.
We never know. So, recently I worked with a TED speaker. I'm having technical difficulties with
I can see that.
Earpiece.
I just hope this is the biggest technical difficulty we have.
Oh, yeah. No, it's fine. Now it's good. So, I worked with someone on their TED Talk recently, and they actually said to me, it's like, David, look, honestly, I actually don't care about the people in the audience at all. Like, I want to meet with scientists and leaders and this and that. And my answer was this: how dare you assume that my father isn't the scientist that you need to talk to? That person that you don't even know in that audience can connect you with the people that you are looking to connect with, but you're going to miss that opportunity because you think everybody is just like below you, right? And there was an instant shift. So you see, when you approach the world as like, oh, I'm already a speaker, I'm always a speaker, one-on-one. And so do speakers ask for speaking engagements, or do speakers talk about their vision and lead their tribe? Right? Mm-hmm. Do speakers give people a reason to reject them so that they can then in turn maybe decide if they want to accept them after? Do leaders shake things up? Sure. Right? But unfortunately, one of the epidemics that's going on in the speaking world right now is this whole thing that to be a speaker, you need speaking engagements. And I'm telling you right now, you've been a speaker the moment you arrived in this planet. Because as a baby, when you were hungry, you spoke up. When you had a poopy diaper, you spoke up. And it was all vision-led. It's like, I am speaking right now. So what's stopping you right now from speaking and sharing your vision to the world? Oh, it's not the right audience? How do you know? Says who? You don't have a big enough platform? Says who? Because even if you're speaking to 50,000 people at the same time, only one person at a time is receiving you. So you're always a speaker. Always.
True. I wrote something down. Tell me if you agree. So instead of saying instead of focusing on looking for speaking engagement, you're always auditioning, lead with your vision, share your vision. But when you have a vision, that means you are a leader. So
Yes.
people want to hear and see a leader. And if you have a message or a vision, then you are a leader.
Yes.
Something about taking that leadership stance. Like, I love talking about simplicity entrepreneurship because people get curious, they light up, and they want to bring me on whatever show or podcast or Facebook group, whatever it is.
So let me ask you, because this is the perfect example, Milana. How many people poo-pooed the idea of simplicity and continue to?
So starting with my own coach earlier on, who I no longer work with, people mainly were confused, and I'll be honest with you, it's because I didn't communicate it in a way that that was tangible enough.
Sure, but you were in transformation and discovery, and so this is one of the beautiful things that I really hold space for with my clients as they learn to speak, or not even learn to speak, as they learn to bring their message to the world. The discovery phase of the process is so critical. And it takes time. So here's the thing. You had a vision and it was simplicity. You didn't know how, but you're like, there's something here. I just want things to be simple. I don't know what the marketing message is yet. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know how I'm going to monetize it, but there's something there. And you moved forward with your vision.
Yeah.
And now look, I mean, how long has it been since you came up with the original concept? 6 months, 8 months, 7 months?
It's been about 8 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Now look, you have a community with the title Simplicity Circle. You have, a growing business with this concept. You have people that you're leading because you're a speaker and a visionary and a leader unapologetically the entire time. And it's okay if people reject you. That's okay, right? You don't want everybody in your tribe. Those are consumers. They take.
I want to challenge you on something. So you said when people ask you what you do, don't say you're an entrepreneur or you're a coach or consultant. Say I'm a speaker. And see, I would never say I'm a speaker because that's not how I see myself. I see myself as an entrepreneur, maybe as an innovator, maybe as an author. Sometimes I'll say I'm a composer, depending on what environment I'm in. But I love that. And I would love for you to elaborate a little bit on that because it feels like maybe that's one of the secrets to get on stages.
Absolutely. See, the problem is that even successful speakers, I know several of them, and I ask them, let me ask you a question just for my own purposes. I always ask this. How many people know you're a speaker first?
Or that you speak.
Or that you speak. Even the successful ones who are booked all the time are like, oh yeah, on my Facebook page, I don't really tell people. It's just like my job. So imagine if everybody knew you were a speaker, right? Now, why would you say that you're a speaker first? And this is why I say it. I say it to people who, you have to answer the question, what do I want them to do about it? If your end result is, I want to build a tribe, I want to speak in front of people, or I understand that if I can speak in front of audiences of any size, virtual, live, it doesn't matter, do workshops, whatever that is, if the answer to what do I want them to do about it includes that you need to share a message in a bigger way, well, why would you lead with entrepreneur? Why would you lead with author?
I'll tell you why. Because it makes me sound creative. There's something about the word entrepreneur that makes me feel like people respect that. It's creative.
And so here's the biggest sin. And I love it that you said it this way. Because it's about you.
Yes. It's ego-driven.
And the reality is, and I'm sorry and I'm not sorry, is as much as I love you, Milana, I don't care that you're an entrepreneur. What are you doing with that? What are you up to? So for you, innovator, change maker, trailblazer resonates with me. Because if you said innovator, hey, Nancy, great to see you. If you say I'm an innovator, right? I ask the next question. I'm like, oh, what are you innovating right now? What's your next, someone says I'm an inventor. Oh, what are you inventing? Because what do you want them to do about it? When you say I'm an author, okay, well, what's your next book? But so what? I can't participate in your authorship for the most part, unless I'm looking to hire an author. I can't really participate in you being an entrepreneur, except that I know that the next question is going to lead me to you talking more about yourself.
That is true. That is very true. I think it makes me feel like I sound interesting. If I say I'm an entrepreneur, people are usually like, oh, what kind of business do you have? So it leads to a conversation. Well, I do have to say that I am not necessarily pursuing live speaking opportunities.
Yes.
I do want to get booked on podcasts and as many interviews and shows online as possible.
Right.
And so
that's still speaking.
Say it again.
It's still speaking.
Absolutely. Yes.
So here's the interesting thing. If you talk about, if you're just talking about yourself and what you're doing, you sound interesting, but the reality is what do you just revealed what you want them to do about it, or that you want to spread your message of simplicity. See, your vision is not to look good for people, is not to look like an author to people or a whatever, even as an innovator. Like, you have a bigger vision and a bigger mission in the world, and you can't do that by yourself sitting in your home.
David, what does it take to be an unforgettable speaker? Because the title of our talk today is From Unheard to Unforgettable. And while you're thinking, I know you already have the answers for that, I'm curious if you have ever heard or seen an unforgettable speaker that kind of stuck in your head. Please share who it was or where you saw them, or most importantly, what made them unforgettable. And while you guys are thinking, I have one, which is fascinating, David. I can't remember the name, but I remember the story he told.
Yes.
He told a story of, the ship, they burned this ship so they couldn't go back. And that was the first time I heard the story. That was like years ago. And I thought, that is brilliant. I need to quit my job so I have nothing to go back to.
Burn the boats.
So I remember that story, and I remember the face and the posture of the speaker, but I don't remember the name. But I think to me that made him unforgettable because he told the story and I felt the emotion and I connected it to my life. So that is for me. Yes.
And so what I would say, even more important than the story, is so you see, it's the other epidemic happening in the speaking world right now, is tell your story. And not only just your story, tell the deepest, darkest, most terrible story you possibly can. Don't give them the end at the beginning. Make sure you close the loop at the end, and make sure you add in all the presuppositions and the NLP and all that other stuff, right? What you became the ambassador of, and just today, what you just said, you are the ambassador of an idea. It's not even the story, because you don't even remember all the details of the story. You remember the idea of burn the boats so that I can't go back. And then you're like, and you attach that to, I should become an entrepreneur and not have a fallback. The idea of why are you playing small, right? So to be unforgettable, you need to deliver, again, vision is the word of the day. You need to deliver an idea. So I work with a lot of TED speakers. Your story doesn't matter to a degree. It's the idea that I can become the ambassador of. So to be unforgettable, you have to deliver ideas to people. So they might remember parts of the story. They might remember you. They might not. They might remember some of your points and what you want them to do about it. But the idea, if you are very clear, and the idea is the through line of your talk, and the idea becomes almost the base of your marketing, that's when you have really good branding.
That's why I do big idea coaching. That's why I do that. That's such a big part of even simplicity training that I do with clients. That's the second thing we focus on. Right? Exactly. Idea. Because a lot of people will argue this point right now. What you just said, your story doesn't matter. What do you mean it doesn't matter? Isn't that what makes you more unique, stand out, because your story is not like anybody else's story? But I love that. So to be unforgettable, deliver an idea. You're an ambassador of an idea. I love that. To me, as an innovator wannabe, I love that. You're an ambassador of an idea. I just love that. So what would you say to somebody who says, what do you mean the story doesn't matter?
Again, the story is about you. So oftentimes, and I know we've all, if I were to do the yes or yes, right? We've all been sitting in the audience and a speaker tells their story and you're sitting there thinking to yourself, so what? Like, it's your story. I mean, I skip every first 20 minutes of every single webinar now because I know that the story is going to be 20 minutes long.
Oh, I better modify my webinar. Just the whole story, David. You're killing me here.
I know, right? I'm sorry. And again, that's why I call myself the unapologetic speaker coach. Look, the story is a tool. The story is a way to build rapport with people and to build a relationship, but we don't need the whole thing. Frank Kern, the grandfather of webinars too, right? He even says, look, people, you're killing me. Give me a couple minutes of story at the most, 2 maybe. People get it. If you can connect the dots from beginning to end, they're going to see they're up to something bigger. Save the bigger story for another time. Save the bigger story so that you invite the pursuit. The idea in the story is what I can become the ambassador of. And William Brown just put that up there, the ambassador of the idea. Yeah, it's very different, right? People think if I tell my story, I'm going to build rapport. And so then I ask this, and then what? It's not a big enough vision. Great, you have rapport, so what do you want them to do about it? I've listened to your story. You've made me the victim of your story because I have to listen to it. And that's how I feel when I'm in the audience of people going on these like crazy long stories about like the craziest things that have happened in their life. I'm like, okay, I get it, but I don't see why I should care. And so speakers need to ask themselves, well, why should anyone care about my story? And then all of a sudden you start to write the story a slightly different way. Because it's not the play-by-play that matters. It's the lessons, it's the bus stops. It's what you learned when you were touring around in that area, right, of your life.
And I do want to say that, you know, with story, and I'm looking at Christine's comment and also thinking about when I left the company last year, what was happening is that I needed to share my story. It was my pain and my experience coming out of me. I had to share. And the very first webinar I did and the videos that I created, they had a lot of my story. They had a lot of those nuances and what happened and how I felt and all of that. And it's been almost a year. And I have reviewed my webinar and my videos and I'm thinking, man, I was talking a lot about myself. I no longer connect with that much, right? And so maybe there is a time the storytelling can be healing for the person, can be healing for the audience. But if you are seeing that as a bigger vision, as an ambassador of an idea, then suddenly your story becomes an introduction to the idea.
Exactly. Right? The story is the door in.
Yes.
The story is the doorway that allows people to come in. The story is also the opportunity for people to either reject you or accept you. And either is fine, but we want them to make one or the other. And it's okay if they reject you, because if they reject you off the top and they're still listening to you, you've shaken them up. You've interrupted the pattern, if we were to use NLP, right, terms. Yeah. And that's a good thing because we're all sheep at some level. You know, we're just following along, doing our thing. And so what I love is that, so you went through this whole process of a year of telling your story, but look at what's come out of it. The idea of simplicity is intrinsically connected to your story. Because as you were telling your story, what you were trying to say is like, I just want simple. That was sort of the undercurrent. You didn't know it at the time that you were telling your story, but look at what emerged from the story.
So it's not just about telling your darkest, most vulnerable story. It's more about telling a story that connects to your idea.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's okay to tell your story is what you're saying. Maybe
yes.
Get a little shorter, but make it very connected to your vision, to your idea, to what you want people to get out of it.
You know, in the coaching world, one of the greatest questions that coaches will ask people is like, what's the purpose of you sharing this story with me? And speakers need to ask themselves that. You know, you're telling your story, you're writing your story out or whatever, you're practicing your story. Ask yourself, what's the purpose of me telling the story? And if you can't instantly come up with the answer, well, it connects to my vision, it connects to what I want them to do, it connects to simplicity, whatever it is, you know, if it was you. If you can't answer it right away, well, then maybe you need to modify the story so that it serves what you want them to do. It serves your vision. It serves your bigger purpose. I mean, look, and there are some people who are out there who only want to just get on stage for the glory and the spotlight and look at me. Hey, it's all about me. Great. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying who I want to work with. And again, that's why I call myself unapologetic about this. I want to work with people who are up to something bigger than converting money. Converting dollars. I want to work with someone who wants to transform the world, who wants to lead a tribe. And if you have, and I believe we have it in us, all of us, every single one of us. Now, I'm not saying that money isn't important because we need money to create transformation for others, but money is a tool. The vision isn't money. The vision is transformation, and money comes with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what Bill just highlighted, that your story is an introduction of your idea.
Sure is.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. And Christine, hopefully that made sense, because I know you and I both were sitting in a workshop where storytelling was the topic of a 3-day workshop. So I can feel you like, what do you mean? Don't tell your story. So absolutely. David, you are starting an amazing community, which is specifically for entrepreneurs who have or want to have a big message, big vision, and they want to build a speaking business. Mm-hmm. And so I would love for you to tell us why you started the community and what is unique about your community. I'm big on community. You know, I've came out of a company that had a community in the center of it, and I am building a community right now with Simplicity Circle. So there's something about building a community for people who want to build a speaking business that is attractive to me. And I will, while you're thinking about how to answer that, I will say that what attracted me the most to having you as a guest today was this idea that people miss a lot of opportunities because they spend way too much time talking about getting speaking gigs instead of sharing their message and their passion.
Yeah,
right?
do it.
So imagine if all you do is you talk about your passion and the right people connect with that. What opportunities could you open up with that? So is that why you started your community?
Yeah, and it's so funny because I was so resistant. Last year, I started a Facebook group, and it was an entrepreneurial Facebook group. And I think because I was a teacher for 10 years in a high school, also while I was doing theater and a yoga studio all at the same time, there is nothing I want to do less.
Oh my God, what don't you do, David?
Oh, it's so mad. I don't fix cars, but okay. There's nothing less that I wanted to do than open a Facebook group or have a community, because I think I was just burnt out on it. And I recognized in the current model, there is the danger that the community, the group, only becomes a platform for people to promote themselves, because they will only show up on the self-promo days, and they're always trying to like weasel it in there. And I just got really angry about it. So, and then it dawned on me, because I love working one-on-one with people, but there's only so much time in the day. And I feel so on purpose and on fire that I want to share this with the world. And I recognize that not everybody can get to, $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 a month to work one-on-one with me. So I needed to figure out another way. And I thought, what would it look like if I put together a group of on-purpose entrepreneurs, leaders, and business owners who all want to use speaking as part of the tool in their business? And I put it together in a week. The idea was I went from 0 to 1 million in a week. And I learned the platform and I figured it out. And I just put it out there to see what was happening. I led with vision. And I just want to make that clear for everyone that I didn't talk about it. I didn't test. I didn't ask people's opinion. I just started. Mm-hmm. And I was intentional. What do I want them to do about it? I want them to be up to something bigger. I had a very clear purpose in the group, and I called it the Unapologetic Speakers Community. And in that community, the idea is you get access to me in a group format where we do monthly trainings and Q&A. And then it started to evolve, and I said, what would it look like if I gave my community access to amazing leaders, speakers, business owners that were all there to support you in building a speaking business? So the photographers, the videographers, the personal stylists, the people who know marketing, the people who know how to build groups, people who know how to monetize meetup groups, people who know sales, the speak to sell format specifically. And I have all these relationships built with all of these amazing entrepreneurs. And as I started asking, I said, hey, fill in the blank, big deal person, would you be willing to be a member of my community as one of my unapologetic experts? And all that would mean is I would tag you if anyone had a question specific to your expertise. And maybe once every so often, we would do like a training and some sort of a webinar or a live interview like this. And I love that because you invited me to be one of the guest experts. And I wondered, how is it going to work? I love that idea that when somebody has a question and your members, you just tag them. That's awesome. Yeah. And I learned that from Mark Mawhinney, beautiful Canadian.
I did too. I was going to say.
Right? It's so brilliant. He's a smart man, right? And I thought, okay, well, this is great. And I asked, and Mark Mawhinney's going to be one of those people in my group. This is a very busy man. He has his own group, over 5,000 people, his podcast with over 10,000 downloads a month. And he said yes to being a part of the community. And I thought, okay, I'm on to something here. So what would it look like to have this supportive, collaborative effort of other speakers? So it's a place where people get to have dress rehearsal. So we have hashtag dress rehearsal. If you want to test a video out, or you want to go live and show people, like, this is my message, what do you think? And to get the feedback. People can put themselves in the spotlight using a different hashtag. Speakers speak. So one of the first things that you have to do within 48 hours of joining the membership community is do a 2.5-minute video introduction. And I say, look, the minute you arrive within 48 hours, you've been given a speaking engagement. How are you going to choose to use it or not? And it's fascinating to see some people, they're like, oh, I'm not. I've had some people leave the community within a day or two because they don't want to do it. Isn't that interesting? You know? And it's just.
And David, while you're talking, let me put the link to check out your community so people can see it on the screen.
Yes.
What's the link? Tell us.
Oh, community.unapologeticspeaker.com. Oh, and it looks like something happening on my computer here.
Is that right?
That's it.
It's funny, we never worked out what link we are going to show, but I love that, community.unapologeticspeaker.com. Holy cow, that's like perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah. I was hearing some cuckoo clock in the background for you.
I know, so hopefully, who knows? I just got my computer, I told you before we got on, got wiped and everything, and all your settings are different, and now there's like things happening. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not supposed to happen while I'm on a live video.
I actually do own a cuckoo clock. My father gave it to me. But I couldn't find a place in my house to actually put it because it would be disruptive, whether it's in my bedroom or it's in my office. But it's so pretty. The cuckoo bird literally just pops out every 30 minutes.
Yeah. So, it's so cool, just to jump back on, I just wanted to finish my thought on community, right? Is like, so look, now I'm at the place where, and this is why now I'm fully supportive of community and Facebook groups, because I figured, well, people are already on Facebook, so why create a membership site? Who's going to go to a membership site for me at the, and maybe I'm wrong about that, but for now, I want to keep it simple. So it's housed on Facebook, but you get all this expert training, all this expert access. You get all these extra discounts to all of the things that I have available in my world. And I mean, it's like a no-brainer. The founder spots are only $22 a month. So think about that. For $264 a year, you get access to so many experts to ask the questions, a safe place where there's other speakers, not looking to steal speaking engagements from you. Because I know speaking coaches that teach you how to do that. They teach you to go to other speakers' websites, look at the engagements that they've done last year, and to go and position yourself at those same speaking engagements, and you steal it from them. And I'm like, okay, do we really have to do that? I mean, create those opportunities to speak yourself. Create the meetup groups and the tribes and the networking opportunities for you to go and speak right now, and you will build your own. Like I said, I don't even call myself a speaker, and I've done 2 speaking engagements within the last month. And I don't advertise as a speaker at all.
And if you guys have a question for David, please ask. Maybe there is something that you have struggled with to get booked as a speaker, or maybe you had a speaking engagement and it didn't go that well. What I love about you, David, is that you are very knowledgeable when it comes to specifically presenting with confidence, and that's something that you help your private clients with, almost like, I wouldn't call you a coach or a speaking coach, but you're a producer. You produce amazing presentations in the bodies of other people.
Yes.
If I may say so.
You have it. And it's so funny because I'm really wrestling. Right now, I just call myself, but I do call myself the Unapologetic Speaker Coach, only because people understand instantly what that is. Now, my problem with it is that there's a lot of bad speaker coaches out there, unfortunately, that are giving, I think, the industry a bad name. And again, unapologetic in my opinion on that. And it's not to call anyone out. That's not what this is about. But I truly do feel more like a speaker director or a speaker producer, because that really is the work that I do. I have an amazing, amazing client who is going to be, I can't announce it yet, but is like applying for her Grammy and is applying to be, is actually accepted to be on a very national television show in the fall. And what I'm doing is working with her to develop her stage show. But she's a speaker. She recognizes she sings and she speaks in between. That is a speaking experience. And what I do is I help people to create speaking experiences.
So that's really cool. Did your cruise already happen?
No, it's in September. The Speaker Experience at Sea. That is so, okay, so that's a dream come true. Can I tell you about it for a second?
I was going to ask you about that because so I don't like being on a ship.
Right.
But if I did, I would totally be there.
I know, right? I don't either, but I put the patch on and I was like amazing. I didn't even feel anything, you know? But so the Speaker Experience at Sea came out from, and this is crazy, talk about just leading with vision and just being like blind faith, you know? I wanted to win 10 hours of creative services from a branding agency, very high-end branding agency. That's all I was trying to do. And the idea was you had to come up with an idea that brought together a couple of different industries, and it was a touch point in your brand. So my brand is unapologetic, glory, man behind the curtain. Okay, so I thought, what would it look like if I put together something that looked like American Idol Hollywood Week with personal development for speakers on a cruise ship? So I won the contest. The next week, my husband and I happened to go on a cruise that we had planned. And as we're on the cruise, we started talking like, could we pull this off? Is this an idea that might work? And so we ran the numbers and we thought, okay, yeah, there's something here. Like the revenue would work out, that it's not going to be like $1 million to come on this cruise and make it profitable at all, right? And the next week I launched it. Within minutes of launching it, we got our first attendee. So I knew I was onto something. We have an amazing member of the community here, I believe, who is flying from across the world, Russia, to be on the cruise in September. And so really, thank you, Abby. I love you. So it's just this idea of what would it look like if you were immersed in experience on a cruise ship where you master your speaking, your engagement, your enrollment, and build authority all at the same time. The minute you step on that ship, so in September, we're doing Vancouver to San Diego on Holland America. And we still have a couple of spots left, you know, balcony staterooms, really, really nice. What would it look like if the moment you enter that cruise ship, you get treated like a speaker the whole time? So this 6-day cruise, from the moment you enter to the moment you leave, you will be treated like a speaker. You will be given opportunities to speak in the small, safe group to work out your message.
Where do you find out more?
SpeakerExperienceAtSea.com.
SpeakerExperienceAtSea.com.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you say you're going to be treated like a speaker, yeah. I'm immediately thinking you're going to be given a microphone at the moment.
You might, or you might be asked to prepare your 20-minute talk, and then you get to the speaking engagement, to the session, and they're like, ooh, we only have 5 minutes. Could you cut that down? Or you show up to an event and all of a sudden they say, oh, you're a speaker, right? Could you introduce the host? Would you mind doing that? And it's starting in 2 minutes. These things happen as a speaker, right? You get asked to host.
And some people just get the microphone and faint right there.
Right. And so we want to give you the space to faint safely. We'll be there to catch you and to really develop it. And like, for example, what would it look like if you go out into port? So on this cruise, our ports are Victoria and Astoria, Oregon. What would it look like if you had to go in port as a speaker and go out and talk to people and share your vision as a speaker and see if people resonate and see if they were booking agents, if they might be interested in having you speak to their community or their group? To go out there and spread your vision to the world. What would that look like? Yeah, Christina says, my challenge is with those impromptu situations. Is there a way to prepare for the unexpected? Yes, there is. And I learned this trick, I guess you could say, being a teacher, because it's always unexpected, and in yoga. The man that I trained with in yoga always said at the beginning of the day, to schedule week-long trainings, right? Be ready for anything. That's what the schedule was every morning. Be ready for anything. And I was like, oh, wow. So that really pushes you. And when you're a speaker and you show up as a speaker all the time and you're like, okay, well, I'm a speaker, always. You start to live into that. You lean into the idea of like, I'm always a speaker. Someone might ask me to host a panel or be on a radio show or do a soundbite. Or last night I was at the speaking engagement and they put a mic in my face and said, could you do a testimonial? Say this, this, and this. And I was like, okay, no problem, right? And so it's just a matter of having the practice. And that's what the speaker experience at Sea, specifically this one that we're doing, this first one, is designed for, is to give you that testing ground, safe testing ground, to really feel what it's like to be a speaker and to develop it and to work on your message and the idea worth spreading. And just a little plug for the next one, not a plug, but a secret. The second one is in April, at the end of April. I will not reveal the location yet, but we are going to be in port for a few days, and my clients on that cruise will get speaking engagements in port. So not only will they get to have the immersion and work on all of that, but they will also get to come back and say they're international speakers. So that's what
cool.
Yeah.
I think I have not been your client other than just having the fortune to collaborate with you in music. But I get this feel that if I were to become your client, or anybody who works with you is taken such good care of, and most importantly, championed. Because that's what I always get from you, is like, as a speaker, sometimes you need somebody to believe in you and get that confidence. And you give people so much confidence, which is what I love about you. And
I love that you just said the word championed. One of my former brands that I was working on when I was in the high performance world in music was called Attitude of Champions. And I wanted to instill the attitude of champions in young people to becoming a champion isn't winning something. It's actually becoming the champion. That's who champions are. And yeah, in terms of being taken care of, like, I even flipped the model, like with the cruise, instead of being like, okay, well, it's this much for the cruise. No, sign up to work with me for 3 months or more as a client, you get the cruise included. Because, right? I mean, it might as well. I want people to transform and have those experiences, right? And what it was funny because, marketing is funny. People were saying, oh, David, that's expensive for a cruise or whatever. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's not. And then I just flipped it. I said, it actually costs the same amount of money to work with me for 3 months or more as it is to go on the cruise. So I just reversed the marketing message and said, book with me for 3 months or more. And then we booked more people. It's so hilarious how the marketing works, right? And that's more your world. You probably get excited when you hear things like that. You're like, marketing is tricky.
Little nuance is how you position. Which piece do you lead with? Absolutely. Right. Yeah. We are coming up to the top of the hour, and I wanted to ask you, for simplicity's sake, what is the first step that people should take if they want to grow their speaking business as an entrepreneur?
Tell everyone. Tell everyone that you are a speaker. Tell everyone what your mission, your vision, your passion, and even your obsession is. Tell everyone, even your Uber driver, your mom, your dad, your uncle, your mother-in-law that you don't like. Tell everyone, because you never know who they're connected to. Oh, Christina, thank you so much. I can't wait to hear from you in the community.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. I just love everything you do and how you do it. I'm so grateful to have you in my close circle of friends, and you have seen me before and after, and you may feel like it's the same Milana. It's the same Milana, just like more, kind of like more unapologetically herself.
Yes.
But I'm grateful for your support throughout this year, because it was an interesting and challenging year for me. And I also have watched you come into your niche and expertise, because when we first met in my previous company, you were a client and a member. You were searching.
I was.
And you were trying to, stake a claim a stake. I don't know how to say that. Stake a claim, right? Mm-hmm. Into like, what is this one uniquely your thing, right? And I think you got it.
I think so too. Oh gosh, it feels great.
unforgettable experiences is what you're creating. So,
and thank you. Like, I want to echo that back to you, is like the support and the friendship and just the conversations and the music that we shared and the ride in the Tesla and the dinners and the.
Thank you for letting me ride in the Tesla. That was the highlight of my.
Hey, we're all about experiences, so like, why not, right? But yeah, it makes a difference. That support, and we know that, like the coaches, the support, those people, the mentors in our lives, even if they're just friends, we're not each other's client necessarily, but it makes a difference. So, and I can't wait to have you be a part of my community and to show the speakers like what simplicity is in their marketing message and how to build that. You're going to be such a great asset, and they're going to be so blessed to have you. I'm so blessed to have you in my life.
Thank you so much, David. And guys, people who have followed us, maybe stayed with us for almost an hour, Bill, Christine, Abby, thank you guys. Anybody else who was watching, thank you for adding to our conversation. And of course, this video is going to stay on the Facebook group. And Mary, thank you so much. You actually did stay for the whole hour. Wow.
You did. Wow.
That's wonderful. You can guys continue the conversation off camera, and if you have any other questions or anything else comes to mind about building your speaking business as an entrepreneur, David is right here. He is a member of the Simplicity Entrepreneurship community. And thank you so much, everybody. Go on with your day. David, go make some unforgettable experiences happen for other people.
I sure will. Thank you, Milana. Bye, everyone. See you.